Hello, welcome to this second video on MPEG-H audio. We're going to be talking about creating content for this format and speaking about some of the tools we left out on the last video we did on MPEG-H audio. So let's begin. Welcome back again to this second video on MPEG-H audio, where we're going to cover some of the requirements to create content. So covering from different perspectives and some other things. So I will share you right now my desktop and let me show you. This is the content I have. I have some dialogues, I have some sound effects, music and stuff. Let me show you as something we did the last time that's on the other video. We have our components, but I don't have any presets, no monitoring. And we will be covering localization, downmix, dynamic gain, loudness, export, and some other tools. So let's begin with how to create this content for this format. So welcome back again, and this is the content that I have. And the first thing that we have to speak about is the fact that MPEG-H audio has certain levels, and each level contains or lets us use certain amount of tracks. And basically now we can work on level 3, which means that we have 16 tracks, and one of them is for metadata. So we will have to be very aware of how we want to distribute our signals and our content. So as you can see here in my DAW, I have my dialogues in here. I have Spanish and English. I have some like discrete sound effects that I want to move around. These are 5.1 ambiances. And this is my music tracks. So I decided, and sorry for that, I decided that I wanted to create a final bed for all the sound effects, including specs and backgrounds. A bed for that. I wanted a boss for the backgrounds in surround. My effects, I wanted them to be in 7.1.4. That's my output. And music, I wanted it in stereo. And I have my effects, my processing synced to the same effects bed. And the dialogues are going to be obviously objects, because I need them to be, or more specifically said, component, because I will be needing them to be choosable, so that I can create my presets in each language and not have them both at the same time. So what happens if I show you my mixer, and this is very important because we have to think through how we want this project to be. Well, I have my FX bed, which is a 7.4, my MX or my music in a stereo bus, which is my main bus, my bed, and I have my Spanish dialogue and my English dialogue, and this you can recheck right here in my authoring window, where I have my boss coming from the FX bed, my MX bed, which is stereo, and my two objects, which are my two dialogues. Okay, so with this on everything set, let's begin and create our first preset. Okay, let's begin and create our first presets. This is our content, and since we already, let's create a quick preset with everything, again, for us to hear what I have in here. Okay. And since I have two dialogues and I will have to create a preset, let me remove everything from here to create something before that, because if else I won't be able to create what I want, which is a switch group, because I want both dialogues. Let me put this language. I want both to be in the same switch group. So what I will do now is go to my Spanish one and move it to language, and the English one as well. So I already filled that before, so it's going to appear over there. And let's create our first preset with everything. And now I can monitor that.
Tropical forests, creating a breathtaking landscape
And
where
switch.
land and sea, la tierra y el mar convergen en armonía.
Okay, so I have my first one. Let me create a second one, and this one I want the music to be lower, but give the chance to the audience to bring it up back again. So what I have to do now is tell my music that I want it to be able to go as low as 10 dBs. I don't want that to be less than that. And I will create a second. I'll put a description here. This will be default. And now create, let's call it interactive. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is add everything again, but the music, I will give permission to the user to lower it, to raise it up, because the preset is going to be 10 dBs down. Okay, let's hear that.
Tropical forests, creating a breathtaking landscape where land and sea converge in harmony.
Okay, you can hear the change on the music. And now that we have our thing running, I want to speak about something very important. Here is the loudness tab. And this is very important because are the measurements of loudness. And if they are not measured, we won't be able to create an export. That's very important to have in mind. So, but mainly for me, and in the sense of creating content, this is not a mixing class, but this is just how to create the content and the perspectives that we have to cover for us to be able to do that efficiently. We will be able to monitor, we need to be able to monitor loudness, and this is what this does. So here in this tool that will be empty when you open it, you will be able to decide you want to use loudness units or full scale loudness units, 9 dBs or 18 dBs, okay? You can reset everything here, and now you can choose what do you want to measure. In this case, I will choose my default, will be the first preset that I have, okay? And now I am able to listen to this, okay?
Tropical forests, creating a breathtaking landscape where land and sea
and not
converge
only
in harmony.
able to listen to it, but to measure it in loudness. And this is very important because, as I said, now I can pause here. I can restart. Oh, it's in pause. Okay. Restart the measurement and close this tab. Okay. If I want to use the second preset, I use the second tab, and now I can measure it. And again, I can do all that. That's very important because there will be this will be the tool for us to be working and mixing too. So this is important because we have to deliver, and when we have to deliver to a certain spec, we have to meet that, and that's important. And the other thing that we have in the loudness tab that I want to cover is the fact that I can do, and I will have to do this before I do my export, a full measure. I have to create my in and out, but that's already done. And once I do that, I do my full measure. And what it's doing is measuring the whole presets and both presets, the whole show. And this will be the metadata that will be delivered to our clients, and that's important in the sense that it has to comply to what we agreed to deliver. So if it's okay, and if it's well measured and it works, once he does this processing thing, we will be able to see a report with everything that we have here. So it seems like it's accurate enough, and that's what it says. So that's what I am very happy to say, that it works, and that will be what I will be supporting. So this is it for loudness. Okay, so let's go. Well, if we're working here in presets and monitoring, probably this will be hidden, and you can click in here and you will have all these other menus. This is where we found the loudness tab that we just spoke about, and we're going to speak about a little bit of localization. Localization basically gives us let us change the names of the components, as you can see right here, between the different languages or the different languages. So now I can add my Spanish because I know this is going to be displayed in Spanish screen, and I can change or tweak all of this into my Spanish translation. I don't want to put special characters in there, even though it's not necessarily idiomatic rightful, but I don't want to have typos or things that won't work. So, okay, in here, English, again, should be well written. Notice this, okay. Idioma, that will be the translation. Predeterminado and interactivo. So now this will be the information that will display when we're using the Spanish version of this. So we can actually monitor that.
Con densos bosques tropicales, creando
And we can
un
hear the
paisaje impresionante
predeterminado
donde la tierra y el mar convergen
and
en armonía.
interactivo, both in English
Tropical forests, creating a breathtaking landscape where land
and Spanish. So this is basically creating the rightful or the right name for each component and group and switch group and stuff like that. It's okay. And there's the Downmix tab, and this is very simple one. If we want to create, we can remove this. If we want to create a stereo Downmix and a 5:1 Downmix, we can decide on how loud or how dynamic do we want that to be. So this is basically the down mixer, and you have different presets for each one. You can have one loud or sports, and the classic was very low, and whatever do you need. Dynamic works for me. That's the one I'm using. So this is basically it. Okay, dynamic gain. Dynamic gain basically allows us to create docking tracks for specific triggers. In this case, what we want to do is write the music accordingly with the length of the language selected. Okay, if you see my track of dialogue in here, you can see that the length of Spanish is longer, and it has a lot of words rather than Spanish than English. So English is a more compacted dialogue. So if I write according to if I write the music for one, it will be needed to have a different writing for the other language, because the length of each docking of the music will be different in each language. So the way to do this is very simple. We create a sequence. We decide what's going to trigger that music to move or change its volume. So this is my trigger. In this case, the English language. In this case, I will select the music to be the target. So now I have a knob that I can write exclusively for the English. So if I play this back,
beaches seamlessly merge with dense
how I
tropical
lower the music,
forests, creating a breathtaking landscape
and
where
if I
land and
choose
sea converge in harmony. Yeah.
Spanish, music is okay, and it's not affected.
Explora la
It will be
intrincada network of
only
mangroves
changed
and rivers that
when we choose the trigger of the right language selected right here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is to create a quick write for this, not necessarily something nice, just an example. Okay, so let's turn on our automation. Let's make sure that it's not a loop or anything like that, and let's play it.
Here, pristine beaches seamlessly merge with dense tropical forests, creating a breathtaking landscape where land and sea converge in harmony.
Okay, so this is a very good change for the English version. Let's say that's obviously super over the top. That's not recommended, but that is just to show you that we can create that writing, and we can do the same for the Spanish version, and we can write the music, and let's do a write of the Spanish version.
Here, pristine beach is seamlessly.
Okay, let me monitor my Spanish dialog. Okay, dynamic gain, and write this.
Aquí, las playas prístinas se funden perfectamente con densos bosques tropicales, creando un paisaje impresionante donde la tierra y el mar convergen en armonía.
Okay, so now when I choose each language, it will choose which of these rights to use. And that's very important in the case that we want to do something like that, and because it will be matching the dialogue that we have. And this would, in the case that we wanted it to do something like that with the music within the DAW, it will be very difficult to handle because we have two languages and we will have to have like two, I don't know, bosses with different mixes of the music and stuff like that. This solves that all and is already in the tool. And remember that everything that happens is actually not passing. The DAW is containing the data, but basically everything is being mixed and sounding within the renderer. So that's very important too. So this is it. Let's continue to the export part. So exports. The first thing that we have to do is to review if the loudness again, because as you can see now, it's unverified. And that means that the render knows that we have been working with the session and we haven't made measurement of the loudness. And that's the end of the process that we have to do. We have to make a measurement so that he captures that metadata so that he can deliver that with the export. So he won't be allowing us to create the export unless we do that. So let's quickly make a measure right here, and he will be processing everything in there. So this is very important to have done this, because once we start tweaking things within the DAW, he will know that we had work on it and he haven't made a refresh, or he hasn't refreshed the measurement. And as I said, he will deliver those measurements with the ADM file. So we have to do this no matter what as a last step. Once we see the results, we have the measurements in here, so everything's okay. It says it's accurate and it's working. So we can now go to the export window. Another way to do this is we can close this, go to the ADM authoring window and say export ADM, but again, it will send us to the renderer because it's the place to do it, okay? So we can decide we're gonna do an MPF or an ADM or anything else, and we choose where to put it and how to name it. So I will put it in here and name it as that. Let me put it a dash in there so that that's some good practice. And all I have to do is begin the process. And right now it's going to take a little while because it's a long process, it's a big video, but it has a lot of metadata that he has to incorporate within the audio file. He will create an ADM audio file, but it's not the same audio file as it's not the same ADM that Alnos uses. It's the same format, but the metadata and everything in there is specifically and written only for MPEG-H audio. So it won't work as an ADM in Atmos. It's only working for the MPEG-H format. And once we have this, we will see in our computer, we will find the file just where I decided to put it. Let me show you once it's done. So I have my results in here, same measurements that we had before. And if I see my files in here in exports, where I put the file, this is it, okay? So all is left is to send that to our clients. So that's it. It's a very simple process. It has certain things that we have to take into account while we prepare our sessions and our content. Basically, the fact that we have to route everything within 15 tracks, that's something that we have to consider, how we want to route everything so that it matches our what we want to deliver to our audiences. The presets that we have to create, so that's something that we also have to take into account. We have to have what's going to be an object, what's going to be a switch group, what's going to be a preset, what not, and everything in there is very creative, and that's important. The fact that we can do the Downmix preset, the fact that we can create names for every for the content itself, for the components and the groups and everything accordingly to the language, in case there is localization. And obviously, the most important thing for me is the fact that you have a measurement, a tool to measure loudness within the project as you're working, and the fact that you have to measure loudness at the end every time before you make the export. And exporting the file, as you saw, is just a click on a button, naming and delivering. So it's very easy, it's very simple, but obviously, as the format is very different from Atmos and others, it has its own things and way of working around with our content. So hopefully this is a very good complement to the video we did before that hopefully you just saw, and this will continue being useful for you in this sense. And as usual, I just say goodbye and see you in the next one.